While the destruction of Gaza is clear for all to see, lives, livelihoods and infrastructure destroyed, the long-term consequences of this war will be with us for generations, even if the fighting were to stop today.
The Human Development Index for Palestine in general, not just for Gaza, have regressed by 20 years. And for Gaza alone, it has regressed by more than 40 years. We are back in the 80s almost for Gaza. So all the investments in human development in the Palestinian territories in the last 20 years and in Gaza in the last 40 years have been wiped out. We are putting out this report just to highlight that every day, every additional day of fighting is only causing the price and cost of rebuilding Gaza.
The latest statistics are sobering, with more than 5% of Gaza's population killed or injured. The report quotes the Palestinian Bureau of Statistics that the GDP is estimated to lose 25.8% in 2024, and if the war continues, that figure could reach 29%. The poverty rate, currently at 38.8%, could exceed 60% in 2 more months of fighting. The unemployment rate in the occupied Palestinian territories is at a staggering 46%, while 72% or 80,000 housing units have been completely destroyed, at levels not seen since the Second World War.
When we say Human Development Index regressed by 40 years, we are talking about all the gains in schools, in years of schooling, in educational attainment, in health, expected life expectancy at birth, and GNP per capita having regressed to those levels of the 1980s. And in our estimate, these are almost an investment of $50 billion lost. That means that the levels of education and literacy will be affected dramatically at the end of this conflict, but more dangerously in our analysis, that the impact of the conflict will stay with us for a long time unless we quickly address temporary schooling, temporary health facilities, psychosocial support to the population, bringing back basic services like water and sanitation and electricity.
While the banking sector is also teetering.
Don't forget that the banking sector depends on the commercial activities, on the overall economic activities. So, for example, the construction sector lost 72% of its growth rates in the last 7 months. So the banking sector has been affected very negatively, not just by the individuals withdrawing loans against their salaries, but also against where the tourism sector has stopped, trading has been affected, construction and other economic and sectors, industry and manufacturing have been badly affected, which leads to an increased number of non-performing loans. I don't like to use the term on the verge of collapse. People's deposits are in the banks, and we need to be careful what we say about those banks.
A crisis unlikely to evaporate in the short term. The report's conclusions could not be clearer, that the war has depleted much of the physical and human capital in Gaza and severely affected the rest of the Palestinian territories, that the scale and scope of damage has been unprecedented and still mounting as this war rages on, while the destruction has been systemic, resulting in extensive and potentially protracted displacement and homelessness, with little prospects for recovery in the absence of a functioning economy and institutional capacities, underscoring the urgent need for a ceasefire and sustained efforts to address the humanitarian crisis. Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.